So, welcome back, me and you, all of us. Um, it's been, how long has it been? It's been over a week. Holy crap. Well, I just returned from a relationship retreat in Maui in Hawaii, and nothing short of just magic. Okay, because I went there almost immediately after my car accident, and I thought I wasn't going to be able to do much because of all the pain and the things that I was in. However, I think because of the land itself, and then also the people, there was Reiki being done on me. There's been a lot of energy healing as well, and probably a good portion of my pain has gone away. Now, coming back to Vegas and back to life, actually, some of the pain actually came back a little bit too. But, um, you know, just really understanding and reflecting on the fact that our bodies follow our mind. That we can be healthy, that we don't have to be limited to the pains and, the accident and all of that. And, it's been super incredible, magical, and you know, bringing the teachings of A Course in Miracles with me has been really powerful as well on that retreat. Um, what else? What else to say about that? It was magical. I think, especially different codes of communication between my wife and I, and then also just getting a lot of clarity about business, about how I want to be running my business in the future. Coming back and sharing some of the clarity with my team has been inspiring for everybody, and it's been a really good reset for this last week. A lot of you guys know I love my resets. Right, I go to Peru for resets. I go to Florida for resets. I go to Hawaii for resets, and I think these things are really important for us because in our daily life, our doingness, our busyness, there is we get more and more disconnected actually from the spiritual side of us. And that's why these calls are really important for me as well, because it's time that we get to take to calm down, to bring stillness, to take the space and the time that we need in order to remember who it is that we really are, ask the questions, be in the discovery, be in curiosity about who we really are, who we are as a full self-expressed unconditional love. And this is what A Course in Miracles, is always trying to teach us and remind us. Take the time to read me, right? Take the time to read yourself. And so what we've been doing on these calls is, this is A Course in Miracles, everybody. This book was written and scribed in the early 70s, and by a woman named Helen Schuckman. And during this time, during the 70s, 60s, there was a lot of, I feel like there was a lot of conscious, like, forward movement. There was a lot of these new age ideas coming out, and A Course in Miracles is one of those. One of those channeled pieces of writing where Helen's ego was out of the way, and she was just downloading straight from source, from God. And so this book is literally written. She says that Jesus came to her and constantly was coming to her to tell her what to write. She wasn't writing, and she wasn't even religious by any aspect. She actually said she was atheist. She had a lot of resistances to religion itself. And she worked in a very, very high stressful environment in Columbia University, where people would talk behind each other's backs. People would step on others to get ahead. Right? A lot of what we see in today's world as well, in the work environment, in life in general, right? Lots of gossiping and wanting to bring up like stories, right? And this is what the course is teaching us, that there are two main teachers. That's it. Your whole life, there's only two teachers that are in your mind. One is the ego and one is the Holy Spirit. So knowing that there's only two teachers means that there's only two things that's ever happening. Some of us would say that it's either love or it's fear. Right? We can look at a situation, the same event occurring. One with a place of like fear of the ego, which constantly will spiral you down different stories and scenarios of fear-related frequencies. And the other one is of love, which when looked upon with love, that you can only see expansion. It brings clarity. It brings you down another path, which there's no fear, there's trust. Trust becomes more of what you step into. There's two things that's ever happening. And I think about my car accident. Like recently, just in the last couple days, I've been having flashbacks of my car accident. And it's crazy because the flashback that comes to me is, me driving and then all of a sudden like hitting the ambulance. Like that last couple moments keeps flashing back. And I keep having like visions before I sleep and whatever. And when I think about that, all of a sudden from a place of like fear from the ego, right? I start thinking about, when my wife is driving, like I start to have like certain panics about my wife taking the car and going out and driving. I haven't even like driven a car since then. I don't even know really why, right? But when I think about it like that, I spiral down all the different like fearful moments. Like my life, there's more fear that comes. A lot of scarcity shows up. Like, oh my God, what's going on with my car? My car is upside down, and we need to make sure we get the claim, and I'm not paying this out of pocket. And even though I can, but I'm like, I'm not doing it, and it's just all this stuff. And then actually it reinforces the physical pain in my body. See, going down that path, I realized that as I was going down that path, the pain, I started to feel more pain. It's almost like I just called forth the pain. So that, I don't know, maybe I can, have the compensation I'm supposed to get, but I don't, I don't need to be in that place. Then when I think about it from a place of love, where I got into this accident and it shook me up, like it shook up all the egoic part of myself, because even before this, I was thinking, man, in my business, in my life, I should be setting it up in a way that I do the things that I care about, and I do the things that I really love, which is spending time with my wife. I was already kind of thinking about those things and putting business second to those. And I've always wanted to inspire people to love more, to focus on relationship first. Return on relationship, not really return on investments. Return on investments for sure, but return on relationships first. And so I was really starting to step into that. And the car accident was like the last thing that I really needed. So from that space, I think about it with love. I think about it like, wow, I'm meant to get into this accident. And how grateful I am that, I didn't die or anything serious didn't really happen. And so when we look at an incident or a situation, there's two thought systems that you can look at it with. from the place of love, you see all the blessings in it. And as you see the blessings, you see more blessings. And everything starts to make sense in your life of why it happened. And then if you look at it from a place of fear, it starts to tighten you up. And all of your thoughts gets infected by that frequency. You know, one of the teachings of the Course is that where you put your energy, and this is and the Course is very universal teaching. It's not like a religion, right? It is Christian-based languaging. However, it's a universal teaching. We all have heard where you put your attention, energy flows. Right? So it's the same thing. The Course says, wherever you place your thoughts, everything is an idea, and that idea expands as you put your thought towards it. So if you think from a place of fear, from a place of ego, that thought continues to expand. And it starts to take over all the different areas of your life. It spills over. And same thing with love. If you see it with the Holy Spirit, the Course calls it, that means you're seeing it with love, with the infinite possibility. With that, God has got your back, right? And so from that place, the Course says there's just really only two teachings. And if we can become really clear about that in our life, then it becomes simple. It's all just black and white. We live our lives like we're only in the gray. And the way that we do that is actually the ego is very clever. The ego is very clever in that it makes you just a little bit confused. Like we all kind of like conditionally believe our stories. Right? We say, "Oh, I believe in oneness. However, this car is mine. This house is mine. This thing is mine. I believe in oneness." See how there's a conflict right there. Both sound good. It sounds like you can have both. But that's the tiny bit of confusion that the ego has you be completely just living in the gray. There is nothing consistent in the gray. Because what we do as human beings is we take on belief systems. Okay, we have perspectives about things. And then we look to life and we take whatever aligns with our thinking. Okay, whatever aligns with our beliefs, our philosophies, and we take that. And the rest of it, we call it error. Because it doesn't really align with my thinking. But if I don't call it error, then the world doesn't make sense at all to me. Right? So what we've done, the Course says, is that we live in the gray so much that we make the error actually our reality. And what I mean by that is the error itself is reality, because now all the illusions are reality. We account for like a tiny fraction of what truth really is. We have one perspective of it, and we make that perspective like the truth. And that's what the Course says, because you've taken truth or love or God and you made it your own, you've lost like the connection to source itself, to God himself. And now we have this separate body, we have this separate identity of who you are and your philosophies and what you like to wear and what your occupation is, and that becomes you. So from there, we'll call that the little I. And the big I is the one that is connected to everything, to all of everything that there ever was, ever is, and ever will be. One of my amazing brothers from the retreat shared a story, and he downloaded this, and it's great. I'm going to do my best to share it with you all on how it goes. Okay, but he was in a very intense ayahuasca ceremony, and he came out of it, and he just had this great story, and it was about an apple. Okay, so you think about the apple, right? Then you think about the apple growing on the tree, like just going back in time with the apple. How the apple came about to be as perfect as it is for you to enjoy in this moment. And then as you eat it, like where does it go into the future? Right? Thinking all the way back to the tree, before the tree was even the tree. Before the tree was even the seed in the ground. Like what was it before it was, then it was all the way back to when it was a dinosaur. You know how this energy just keeps moving and shifting, and it's all part of this one creation. Then back to before the earth even happened, before the Big Bang, when it was just the stardust. Right? A part of that continues to carry forth all the way to being an apple, and then to you eating this apple. And where does it go? The energy of it continues to just keep shifting. And then you poop it out, then it goes out through the sewer system, then it goes out into wherever, into the ocean, and then it grows into, and then the fish eats it, and this and that, and then it's like, it turns into something completely different. So, anyways, he did an amazing job guiding us through a journey of the apple, going all the way back to like before time. And so, the reason why I even shared this story is we don't even know the journey of our own souls. And we don't know where it goes after. But we are here in a body, right? We are here in a classroom to learn what? What is the question really for ourselves? Right? So the Course is reminding us to be curious. Okay, the first thing is just to be open-minded about the Course of Miracles, about A Course of Miracles itself. It is hard to study and it's hard to read the Course when we look at it from the perspective of the ego, because it challenges the ego a lot. All right, so we are in chapter 5, section 4, called Teaching and Healing today. The last section we did was the Guide to Salvation, which is the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is our guide to salvation. What is salvation? What does it mean to be a guide? All right, so the Holy Spirit is teaching us, but how the Holy Spirit teaches us is important. And if we can emulate the way the Holy Spirit is with us to the way that we're in relationship with others, it's about creating peace in our mind. Our entire curriculum here in this body is to really return to peace. And I was inspired by a quote, and I put it on the chat here as well, or in this video, which is, when we think about how to do something. How do I get my wife to stop X? Right? How do I all the things. You finish that sentence, right? How do I? And so one of the, I don't even know where I heard it, but I wrote it down in my notes. And it says, the great way is not difficult for those with no preferences. And that's how the Holy Spirit is with us. On one end, Spirit knows that we are in this body, and we believe our own illusions. Is there a download or website we are using? I don't really know what that means. Yeah, you can just look up A Course in Miracles online. And it's there. The entire book is on there. You can go on YouTube. You can listen to the Course as well. So, anyways, back to this. The way is not difficult for those with no preferences. right? I'm not attached to the outcome of something. So it's not being identified with this Alex, with the actor, with the character of Alex. And it's also not being attached to the fruits of our actions. You know, we're so attached with the outcomes of things. We think we know. And so some of the things that the Course points out to us is very funny. And it's not how the ego wants to hear. Because think about in any moment that you're having a challenge. And do you think you can tell yourself, well, I don't perceive my own best interest? Right? These are some of the things that the Course teaches us and challenges to look at. Wait, do I know what's best for myself? Do I know what's best for my child? Do I know what's best for, this investment opportunity? We don't really know. Oftentimes the most challenging things become the most life-changing things. In one moment, it seems to be something I prefer not have happened, right? This is terrible. And then in another, we look back at it and we're like, man, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, right? And so the Course says, because of that, now you don't even have the capacity to be able to judge anything that is happening right now. And there lies our salvation. There lies the answer, is in recognizing that we have no capacity to actually judge. Our peace lies in that right there. We go through the day judging everything. This is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. I like it, I don't like it. But there is a place that you can go beyond the judgment, which only leaves an experience of peace. Because you have no preferences. You have no attachments to it. You can enjoy things without the attachment of being right, without the attachment of control. And how do we do that? That's what we will be discovering as we study the Course together. Okay, so we've been going through a section on every single call. And so we're going to just go right into chapter 5, section 4. My invitation is for, if you're here and you're listening, then stick around and listen to the rest of it, because there's something in the Course for all of us. There are no accidents. Okay, accidents play no part in God's plans. So if you're here, you're meant to be here. But the invitation is to be open-minded and open-hearted. And what that means is any ideas that we've had up to this point, let's take everything and put it aside. Because all of our ideas come with the identity of ourselves. All ideas and all philosophies we have align to who we think we are, who we think, being a good person is, who we think is the best image of ourselves. We have all of that. So the invitation is to put all of those ideas and everything aside. Okay, and listen from okay, I guess we'll listen what Marianne has to say. But listen from a place of just, I don't know, of nothing. Of nothingness. Okay, so of being nobody. So this is A Year of Miracles by Marianne Williamson. She is also a student teacher of A Course in Miracles and a master wordsmith. I love the words that she uses for things, right? So I'm going to read a page that I opened to today, and then we'll go into the short reading today of Course in Miracles. And okay, we'll start there. So, day 60 on giving birth to our spiritual selves. Love it. It isn't easy giving birth to our spiritual potential. Spiritual labor can be very arduous, one holy instant at a time. When we give up, surrender, soften, don't care if we're right, forego our impatience, detach from the opinions and prizes of the world, and rest in the arms of God. But the end result is the love of our lives. We begin to feel more comfortable within ourselves, less laden by the chronic angst that marks these times in which we live. We begin to feel free at last of past hurts, able to fearlessly love again. We begin to exhibit the maturity and strength that were lacking in our personalities before. A new energy emanates from who we are, and others can see it too. You know, as we awaken into this spiritual self, people can see it. People can see you as you step into love, as you respond with love. Every day, life will challenge you. And in the places that you are asking for, because you place a lot of preference on the outcomes of things. So in those places are where your lesson lies. Our triggers are exactly, and our judgments are exactly where the source of our love comes from, actually. If we can look at our triggers in that way, that this is the source of our power, that I have the opportunity here and now to choose love, to see things with love. And as I identify and look at all things with love, love changes and turns all things unlike itself to be itself. And that's why love is the truth. But not our love with lowercase l, what we decide love is. But love with a capital L, period. Not our preference, but love that is everything. All right, so chapter 5 is all about healing and wholeness. It's about how do we heal, right? The Course says healing is literally just recognizing the illusions, recognizing what they are. So we're going to go into chapter 5, section 4. We'll just start the reading. It's very short, and then we'll open it up for the conversations. Okay, usually when we open up for our conversations, then we really recognize what we're doing here. Why this is the perfect call for you to be on. And why you're here. All right, so section 4, teaching and healing. Going to jump into it. So everyone just take a deep breath in and let it out. And we'll get started. What fear has hidden is still a part of you. Joining the atonement is the way out of fear. Atonement, remember again, the atonement is the correction of error, the returning to the kingdom. To atone is to undo the image, undo the illusions that we've created and that we've been a part of. Joining the atonement is the way out of fear. The Holy Spirit will help you reinterpret everything that you perceive as fearful and teach you that only what is loving is true. Truth is beyond your ability to destroy, but entirely within your ability to accept. It belongs to you because as an extension of God, you created it with Him. It is yours because it is part of you, just as you are part of God because He created you. Nothing that is good can be lost because it comes from the Holy Spirit, the voice for creation. Nothing that is good was ever created and therefore cannot be protected. Nothing that is not good was ever created and therefore cannot be protected. The atonement is the guarantee of the safety of the kingdom, and the union of the sonship is its protection. The ego cannot prevail against the kingdom because the sonship is united. In the presence of those who hear the Holy Spirit's call to be as one, the ego fades away and is undone. What the ego makes, it keeps to itself, and so it is without strength. Its existence is unshared. It does not die, it was merely never born. Physical birth is not a beginning. It is a continuing. Everything that continues has already been born. It will increase as you are willing to return the unhealed parts of your mind to the higher part, returning it undivided to creation. I have come to give you the foundation so your own thoughts can make you really free. You have carried the burden. You have carried the burden of unshared ideas that are too weak to increase. But having made them, you did not realize how to undo them. You cannot cancel out your past errors alone. They will not disappear from your mind without the atonement, a remedy not of your making. The atonement must be understood as a pure act of sharing. That is what I meant when I said it is possible, even in this world, to listen to one voice. If you are part of God and the sonship is one, you cannot be limited to the self the ego sees. Every loving thought held in any part of the sonship belongs to every part. It is shared because it is loving. So right now the Course is again making that connection to sharing and loving being the same. Having and being as the same. Giving and receiving as the same. Right? These are things that are very separate for us in our minds. They happen at different times. I give, and then as I give, then I'm going to get something in return. Right? There's still that little lapse. There's that little bit of space between giving and receiving. The Course is teaching us how do we see things as the moment that we give is the moment that we receive. That love, that receiving is available that instant. Now the ego's like, well, time. What about time? And how do I want to receive? See how the ego makes something very complicated? When you give, when you truly give, you are excited just about giving the gift. Right? Something that we did in the Hawaii retreat was we got gifts for everybody. That was part of the I guess one of the processes. Right, and what we got for everyone, we were just so excited. I got these like glass turtles, that we gave to everyone and I was just so excited for everyone to receive that. Even the thought of giving and receiving happens together when you're truly giving, right? But if I'm like, if there was a, I don't know, there's a homeless person on the street. Right? If I'm giving $1, okay, yeah, I'm giving $1. But if I give $100, now I'm like, okay, well, I'm giving and I'm sacrificing. So think about this, like this idea of sacrifice, right? I'm sacrificing my pleasure. I'm sacrificing my time so that you can have something. So now we attach giving with sacrifice. We attach giving with loss. And if we attach that means when we receive, we can't really even receive because receiving comes from someone else's sacrifice. I mean, we all have some of those thoughts. We're like, oh, I want to honor your time. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Like, think about all those things. Because we believe that in you giving to me, it requires you to sacrifice. I believe that to be true because that's the way I operate. Right? that you are receiving something from me and I had to sacrifice. And this happens in all relationships. I must sacrifice my comfort. I must sacrifice my, whatever, so that you can have something. And we've broken this giving and receiving. And the ego has made it very clever. Even if you believe, I'm giving and I know it's going to be returned to me, the ego is still like, there is a time. It's not right now, but down the line, you're going to receive something, hopefully. Right? That's like as far as the ego allows us spiritually to understand giving and receiving. It's like, it's coming. No, it's already there. It already happened. Right? The ego's like, down the road, I'm giving right now. Right? This is going to add to my karma. Or it's going to help clear my karma. It's a karmic release. And then later, I'm going to be going to heaven, or I'm going to a better place, or I'll be reincarnated as something else. And this time itself is also of the ego. Okay, but when we can really see that giving and receiving happens at the same exact time, that's what the Course is helping us close the gap. And as I'm thinking, as I'm sharing this right now, a thought is coming to me about music. If music and dance, the moment you have to think about music, think about playing a note, think about singing, you're already offbeat. The moment you're thinking about dance as you're dancing, you're already offbeat. And this is like giving and receiving. The moment you take time, you put time in between giving and receiving, you're offbeat. Giving and receiving is happening in the flow, is happening together. The moment you are giving, you are healing yourself. You're healing the idea of that space. You're healing the idea of time. Because time is one of the ego's great weapons, let's call it, for lack of a better word right now. But anything that the ego has and the ego can use, the Holy Spirit can also use and transmute it and give it to us as a lesson. That's the beauty of this whole game, is that there is nothing that you can possibly do. There's no distance and you can't have gone too far where you are, where you cannot be saved. But that comes from a choice in our mind. And I was reading a statistic about suicide, the rate of suicide in our country. And there's also studies of how many people actively think about suicide every day. And it's an astonishing, crazy number. You guys can look it up yourself. It's probably different from different sources, but all those numbers are massive. People have so much angst, so disconnected spiritually, and it's not about money. Not no material things can be a solution for those things. You see people that are like, oh my God, they have everything. And why would they commit suicide? Right? We think they have everything. By all the means of our societal standards, they have everything. They got the relationships, they got the money, the cars, all the things. How many people are going through that depression now? Because you've given your salvation. This is what the Course says. You've placed all of these things on the altar. I want the car, I want the fame, I want the house, I want the money, I want the recognition, I want all the things. And every single time you get those things, they don't give you this long lasting peace and happiness that you thought you want. Yeah. And so where do you turn? Right? So that's why this work is so important. Like, you being here is healing to the entire world, because you never know what you can pick up here that you can share with somebody else, that other people will never have access to this, because You are their connection. So just understand that every moment is full of possibility. And that we're always in the right place at the right time. So that we may receive love and extend it outwards. That this love flows through me, and then through you, and then through others, and then other people through them to me, right? Like it's always like if we block it, that's when we feel when the scarcity starts to come. Right? Scarcity shows up when we withhold. This is what the Course is telling us right now. Abundance and peace comes from sharing, from giving. And scarcity and fear comes from withholding. Right? That means we're giving for the sake of our own sanity. For us to recognize love, we have to learn to give. Learn that giving, yes, giving, sharing is caring, giving is loving. We get all of those things intellectually. But is it like anchored in? Is it like in everything that I do? Because if I make exceptions, the moment I make an exception, it becomes an illusion now. Like just in that little practice right there, that like if I want to have anything, if I want to keep anything, if I want to keep any happiness, keep any joy, love, peace, all of that, I must share it with others. All right, so teaching and healing. See what this section is starting to come into place. The teaching itself is starting to make sense, right? That, in order for us to heal, we teach, we share. Okay, so every loving thought held in any part of the sonship belongs to every part. It is shared because it is loving. Sharing is God's way of creating and also yours. The ego can keep you in exile from the kingdom, but in the kingdom itself it has no power. Ideas of the spirit do not leave the mind that thinks them, nor can they conflict with each other. However, ideas of the ego can conflict because they occur at different levels and also include opposite thoughts at the same time. It is impossible to share opposing thoughts. You can share only the thoughts that are of God and He keeps for you. And so, such is the kingdom of heaven. The rest remains with you until the Holy Spirit has reinterpreted them in the light of the kingdom, making them, too, worthy to being shared. When they have been sufficiently purified, He lets you give them away. The decision to share is their purification. The decision to share them is their purification. Like when we really feel, wow, like me giving, me sharing, like my decision to do so is really the Holy Spirit having purified that thought for you. Right? We're not giving from a place of scarcity. The clarity and the things that come with, genuinely giving unconditionally. I heard one voice because I understood that I could not atone for myself alone. Listening to one voice implies the decision to share it in order to hear it yourself. The mind that was in me is still irresistibly drawn to every mind created by God, because God's wholeness is the wholeness of His Son. You cannot be hurt and do not want to show your brother anything except your wholeness. Show him that he cannot be hurt. He cannot hurt you, and hold nothing against him, or you will hold it against yourself. This is the meaning of turning the other cheek. Teaching is done in many ways. Above all, by example. Teaching should be healing because it is sharing the idea of the recognition that to share ideas is to strengthen them. I cannot forget my need to teach what I have learned, which arose in me because I learned it. I call upon you to teach what you have learned, because by doing so, you can depend on it. Make it dependable in my name, because my name is the name of God's Son. What I learned, I give you freely, and the mind that was in me rejoices as you choose to hear it. The Holy Spirit atones in all of us by undoing, and thus lifts the burden you have placed in your mind. By following him, you are led back to God where you belong. And how you can find the way except by how can you find the way except by making your brother with you? My part in the atonement is not complete until you join it and give it away. As you teach, so shall you learn. I will never leave you or forsake you, because to forsake you would be to forsake myself and God who created me. You forsake yourself and God if you forsake any of your brothers. You must learn to see them as they are and understand they belong to God as you do. How can you treat your brother better by rendering onto God things that are God's? The atonement gives you the power of a healed mind, but the power to create is of God. Therefore, those who have been forgiven must devote themselves first to healing, because having received the idea of healing, they must give it to hold on to it. The full power of creation cannot be expressed as long as any of God's ideas is withheld from the kingdom. The joint will of the sonship is the only creator that can create like the Father, because only the complete can think completely, and the thinking of God lacks nothing. Everything you think that is not through the Holy Spirit is lacking. How can you, who are so holy, suffer? All the past, except its beauty, is gone, and nothing is left but a blessing. This is about this line itself. Your entire past, okay, except its beauty, is gone, and nothing is left but a blessing. So think about all the stories and the traumas that we hold, right? And it's not even about letting them go, right? We talk a lot about letting things go, like let things go, but it's not about letting things go. It's about shifting the relationship to them. It's about purifying those thoughts that they don't even need to be let go. Right? To say something needs to be let go means we have made a judgment of it. We have decided on our own that it is no longer useful for us. That it is bad for me to keep. But we can change our relationship to things. The entire course is about shifting and changing your relationship, and that is called a miracle. I've shifted my idea about being neglected. I've shifted my idea of having my heart broken. I've shifted my idea to fill in the blank. From a place of fear to a place of love. I've only changed my relationship to it. I've only given blessings and gratitude to those things of my past. Right? That's why people say like doing gratitude exercises is so powerful. The reason why they're so powerful is because if you can feel so blessed and so grateful for this moment, if you can just feel so grateful for this moment, it actually extends and heals all things in the past. Because in order for you to be so grateful for this moment, you must also be grateful for all the moments that led to this moment. All the people, all the arguments, all the losses, everything becomes a blessing to this moment. So the Course is saying, Nothing in the past really should follow you into this moment, except the beauty, accept the love, accept the blessings. All right, so I have saved all your kindness and every loving thought you ever had. I have purified them of the errors that hid their light and kept them for you in their own perfect radiance. They are beyond destruction and beyond guilt. They came from the Holy Spirit within you, and we know that what God creates is eternal. You can indeed depart in peace because I have loved you as I love myself. You go with my blessings and for my blessings. Hold it and share it, that it may always be ours. I place the peace of God in your heart and in your hands to hold and share. The heart is pure to hold it, and the hands are strong to give it. We cannot lose. My judgment is as strong as the wisdom of God, in whose heart and hands we have our being. His quiet children are his blessed sons, and thoughts of God are with you. Like this love that is given to us, the Holy Spirit has shared and given to us all the things and reminded us, here, this is yours. But in order for you to hold it, you must share it and give it. That's the secret to having anything. This is what the Course is teaching us, that the secret to having anything is to share it and to give it. Now, that is on one realm, in the perfect world, that is how it works. But how can we take that and apply it to our lives? Apply it to the physical things. Right? How can to have more money is to give more money away? If we think about everything as energetic frequencies, that can make sense. But if we think about everything as separate physical things, it won't make sense. Because as I give you $100, yes, in my bank account, it's $100 less, and you have $100 more. Right? So like that in itself, you're like, how does giving and receiving happen here? But if you take everything and just assign it frequency, assign it energy, right? Money. There's a really great philosophy in Japan about money. I forgot who wrote it, but it's a form of thank you. Like it's a thank you. Arigato. Right? So like as you give money just represents thank you. And how can we take all of the material things in our life? How can we shift the thinking? See, if we can take spiritual and material and smash it together, we would be giving our time and money together all the time. Because I want more of it. I want more of it to do and enjoy all the different things. Well, the enjoying all the different things, that same joy, that same enjoy can happen when you give your time to teens that are, aging out of the foster care system, spending time with the elderly, spending time with kids that have no homes. Right? Like just whatever the passion is, spending time with dogs, cats, right? Volunteering your time, volunteering your money, because that same fulfillment is just a different form of love. Okay, I'm going to make a distinction here, which is form. Forms can be different, but the spirit and the idea of something is all the same. Happiness, joy, fulfillment, love, all of those things. They're all really the same. But the form of it looks different, so we separate them. Because the ego is all about separation. Let's separate everything. The ego thinks as we separate things, it makes more sense and it's clearer for us. The Holy Spirit's like, no, it's all the same thing. That's how it's clear. That's how you get peace. That's how you not overanalyze and overthink. How do we bring that together? Right? So can we use the material things to teach us about the spiritual? Sometimes I talk about making money more like love, not love more like money. Right? Trust. If we make love more like money, then there's an exchange happening. Giving and receiving happen separately. If we make money more like love, giving and receiving happens together at the same time. So if I want more of something, I have to give it. That will be the contemplation for everybody. What does that mean? If I want more of something, I have to give it. We're like, yeah, okay, I understand that if I want to laugh more, I must extend jokes and whatever it is that's going to help people the people laugh more. Because as people laugh, I laugh. And as I laugh, others laugh, right? There's a contagiousness, the word contagiousness, with laughter. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, if you want more money, what do you want? What do you do? Oh, I got to hold it. I got to save it. I got to not spend it on things. Right? And then that just starts to create this contraction experience. So you think you want more of it, but what you're doing is you want less of it. Because you're going to withhold. Right? So, I don't know. Find a charity. Start donating to charity. If you don't know what to do. Look for places where you can give freely. And push yourself to the edge. I'm not saying take your whole bank account empty somewhere, but push yourself to the edge and see what that looks like. Maybe today's practice is like, oh, I would have given $5 to this person, but let me give 10. I was going to tip. Tipping actually is a great practice. When we look at the bill and it's like, wait. And when they give you an option, right? 10%? It's like 10%, 15%, 20%, other. I know that when I'm in a feeling of scarcity, I hit other and I just hit like $5 or $2 or $1, depending on if I'm just picking up food, right? But push yourself to the limit. It's kind of, I feel like it's uncomfortable. Uber rides. Uber Eats. Do you hit the 10% or do you hit the 20%? Or do you hit other? Right? And no shame to it all, right? Not to make yourself bad and wrong, but this will be a great practice for us to push and extend. Last night I was working. My team and I were creating a new Legends Mastermind 2.0. Legends, like entire community, entire ecosystem, and so I was like, I can do a pretty good job helping people shift their mindset from 4 figures to 5 figures. Okay, like just shifting the relationship to money. But I don't know if I'm at the place where I can take 5 figures to 6 or 6 to 7. Right? And what I mean by that is when you think about the money itself, is $5,000 a lot of money? Is $500 a lot of money? Is $50 a lot of money? Is $5 a lot of money? So wherever that like relationship is for you, because you might think, oh man, 5,000 is a lot. And obviously it's relative to different things. But let's just say for, I don't know, let's just say for this glass right here, right? You're like, $5 is a lot for this glass. Well, what about 50? What about 500? What about 5,000? Right? Like the value of money is determined inside your mind. Like it's relative. So can we shift that? Can we increase it all the time? If I think my income is, $100,000 is a lot, can we push that to 500, to $1 million? because there's infinite amount of it. And what the Course is telling us is to really push it. It's not about how much you can earn. It's about how much you can give freely. And the practice of even changing of the tip, because if you have $100, yes, tipping 20% on your food might seem like a lot. But the practice is inverse both ways. Right? Because it's like, why do I only have $100? Why do I only have $1,000? But the practice, that like the expansion itself, that's why a lot of people, when they have bought courses, when they have bet on themselves, it's also a form of giving. Right? Either the money sits in the bank account, or I don't have it, or whatever, or I bet on myself, I'm giving to myself, and then all of a sudden they create, 3x, 4x, 5x, 10x their income for the year. Giving to yourself is the same as giving to others. But will you give it to yourself? So, I want to invite everyone to just practice pushing that. Right? Like, to have is to give. In order for me to have it, I must give it away. What does that mean? And the best place for us to practice is with money. This is why I'm so fascinated and I teach money and A Course in Miracles at the same time. Because I get to practice it with it all the time. Especially when money gets tight. Like, can I still be generous? Can I still treat? Or do I have to wait till I have more to do it? Right? Can I hit 20%? Because sometimes when I'm like, when our, being real estate investors, obviously liquidity goes, like, sometimes you have a whole ton of money, sometimes you'll have very little that's available. And I realized for me that as it's shrinking down, I hit the other and the 10% instead of just hitting 20%, or even more. Right? Like, when money is abundant, then I'm like, oh yeah, let me go and the service is great. I'm going to give 50% tip. But how did I even get to that abundance? How do we get there? How do we create that frequency and not being determined by the amount that's in the account, knowing that if I want more of it, I get to give more, whether it's time or money. But we're going to practice with money. The next time, and it's a very little short, simple exercise, the next time that you see an opportunity to give, will you give $1 or will you give 5? And this helps us shift our relationship to money itself. If you see a cause, right? Like, and this happens to me a lot. When I see something that I feel like compelled to donate to, and I see this a lot on, like, Facebook, like people going through a hard time, people's dogs passing, people need help with, certain bills and stuff. My conflict is always, do I give $40 or do I give $200? That's literally like my conflict all the time. And so even when I'm uncomfortable, when I don't believe so, I'm like, you know what? Let me give the 200. So, like, push yourselves to shift your relationship to money. And that's going to help you shift your relationship to material things, because that's what money really represents. Money represents what love is in the spiritual world, in the physical. Right? Because there's really an infinite amount of it. There's no end to the amount of money there is. Can we let it flow through us? See, the practice of allowing money to flow through us, not to be reckless with it, but really conscious of the money that's flowing through. Right? Not like, randomly impulse buying things and just wasting money, but I'm going to be generous and let the money flow through me. I'm going to be abundant. Let the money flow through me. Because the money flowing through you allows you to recognize the abundance that is you. Same thing with love. And we don't know this, but there is no two things happening. As we restrict money, we also restrict love. Because how we do one thing can show us how we do all things. How we are with the energy of money can show us how we are with the energy of love. Because they're really the same. The way we withhold our money will show up in the way that we withhold the amount of time we spend with somebody, the amount of presents we give to somebody. And when we withhold it, all of a sudden, this thing that is infinite becomes finite. Like there's only a certain, I'm like, ooh, there's only a certain amount. And because we hold and because we think that there's a limited amount, all of a sudden that shows up everywhere. I have limited amount of time. I have limited amount of energy. Everything is limited. And as we go through that, like that is what leads to this depression and angst that infects the world. And when we experience that, what happens is you are always teaching by example, right? What we just read today. Teaching and healing. We can also say teaching and, what's the opposite of healing? I don't even know the word, guys. But we are always going to be an example. We are always going to project what is real in our mind. So as we are in a place of scarcity, we will project scarcity out. See, fear is infectious. And then it calls upon the fears of others. And then it draws like this false sense of community. We commune and we bond through traumas and fears. And a lot of people love that. Because they think that's the way to create oneness and to create community. That's the ego's way of doing it. Look, you're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing what this sonship is. Right? You guys just bond in this trauma. And then it just gets projected all over. It's like infectious. But it's the same because the way giving and receiving works, the way that an idea grows is through sharing. So the ego's like, yeah, great idea. I love it. Let's share more fears. Right? The idea is still, the universal teaching is still the same. As more energy and attention is given to that, it continues to grow, making it your truth with a lowercase t. Same thing is happening with love. As you are standing in abundance, you will also share that. We can't help it. You are teaching only all the time. So then you project. And we're not going to, so the Course actually makes a distinction. When you project from, when you share the idea of fear, it is a projection. When you share the idea of love, it is an extension. So as you're projecting or extending, all that does is it grows more of that idea. Right? I can project my problems, my fears, my PTSD, my fears around driving and all the other stuff that comes with it. Or I can extend the love, wow, what a blessing that was. It's either a blessing or it's not. There is no in between. It's not like, oh my God, I got in this crazy car accident, and sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's not. right? The only way this sometimes makes sense because of the time interval. But in any given moment, there's only one thing that can happen. You either see it, or I either see this accident as a blessing, or I see it as whatever the opposite is. Right? So we have two thought systems, two teachers that we can follow, and that's it. Wow. Okay. Well, I went on a really long tangent today. We got about 15 more minutes. I would love to hear any shares. Anybody have any thoughts about, money, scarcity, whatever is coming up is perfect. What's alive in everybody here, and we'll take the next 15 minutes to have a conversation. Anyone?
Yeah, Alex, me.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm so happy that you are feeling better.
Me
I
too.
don't want to start asking questions about that because I'm like, bro, thousands of people may be asking, hey, what exactly happened? How was the whole accident? So I'm so glad that you're here and sharing all this. I just came from Cuba like 4 days ago. And I had the opportunity to help people economically because the scarcity there is huge. And I have this feeling the whole time that you are talking today that I felt like I was so happy and listening to family members saying, hey, aren't you giving too much? Which is not, but for them was a lot. And I'm thinking of, yeah, but it feels so good, when I see that I can help a doctor, a family member, a friend, and they are happy. It's like I'm spreading happiness. And I got very inspired by the experience that you had in Peru, where you said that you injected the economy by thinking there.
That was a
So
stimulus.
like, okay, this is like I'm following Alex's steps because I'm not injecting the economy, but at least I'm giving happiness, a bit of happiness, and seeing people happy because I can give what for me I take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
So you are talking about that now. So thank you so much because this is something that I guess that I will have to continue like testing. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you had that experience, Yeah, it's I love Peru, and we can say like do the people that live there, just because they don't have a lot of money, does that mean they're in scarcity? Right? Like this is us being able to take the energy of money and combine it with the energy of happiness and the energy of love. How it's really all like the same, and also by freely giving money. Like if you make money like US dollars and you go down to Peru and you spend it and you tip well and you support people in their business, they don't want it for free. But when you give extra, it's like, wow, buy more of their stuff, whatever, give it as gifts. It means so much more to them. Your $10 means so much more to them than it does to you. And sometimes, like me and my wife joke about this all the time, that we are terrible bargainers. Especially, I mean, we can bargain like if it's like a, I don't know, like a Louis Vuitton bag or something. Like, yeah, please give me a discount. Okay, you're crushing us here. But we go down to Peru and we're like, I'm bargaining from what, like $7 to $4. Like, what? Why the heck am I even doing that? Right? But there's just a part of us that's just like that. It grabs on to scarcity. Like every dollar saved is a dollar saved or something, whatever the saying is. I don't even know the saying. Dollar saved or penny saved is a penny earned or something. Like that is totally like ridiculous. Right? But down there, I mean, like We joke because, well, at least my wife jokes with me about this. Is that oh, thank you, Val, thank you for being here. We joke because when they sell me, when they're selling things, or if a mamita like ends up finding me, instead of buying one thing, I end up buying like 10 different things. I end up paying more, right? Because I don't know, I'm just I get into I'm easily sold. First, I'm easily sold, and two, I just like $10 to me means so much less than $10 to her. And the only way I can make the $10 mean more to me is if I give that $10 to her. You guys see how that works? Like sharing is the way that if we want to have something, we have to share and give it.
Alex, can I share a poem?
Yeah, please.
I'm called to share a poem today.
Okay, love it.
So this poem is channeled. It's called Being Mindful. Being Mindful. Please take one, please take two, and please take me, and please take you. And you can take three, or you could give four. And until you need to take some more, we will deposit our check and we'll change our focus. We'll create some magic, some hocus pocus, until we become the blossom bees, where we're spinning our honey internally. I'm not sure what kind of flowers we are, but I know our garden's pollination, it falls from the stars. We are God-gifted beauties delivered from space, creating a more human hive for the superhuman race. I forgot the end of that one, but that's the poem.
Wow, I love it. That was so good. You have so many. Every poem that you've ever read has just been epic.
And I appreciate you reminding us that the gift is when we come to share. I've been holding the poems for 9 years per guidance of God, but I know that these are our poems, and that you shared in the Course in Miracles today that when you begin to share is when it activates that magic of our experience here. And so I appreciate you for just always holding sacred space everywhere you go, for that safety ground, and all of us to be able to come through and share our gifts. I appreciate what you do.
Yeah, yes. Share, More people share. Who else got gifts? Who else wants to share? Who else wants to have more today?
Hello, hello.
Hello.
So I think today that was a a great reminder for me. I think the ego tells me that there are seasons, high times and low times, and this particular month I have a lot of openings, and it's like, oh wow, and it's like, okay, instead of instead of seeing the low in the business for this month, what I can see is just that the opportunity to share more,
Mm-hmm.
and to share and to share. So I think the timing is really good to help me, keep that focus. It's funny, like around June, it seems like clockwork. I have a conversation with my wife. June, I start complaining. I haven't got anything done this year, and she's always like, "Are you kidding?" It's because I'm always looking to the future, and the future is everything that I haven't done, right? And so we take out a big notepad and we look at the calendar of what we've done. It's like there's this huge list of accomplishments this year already, right? And this happens every year, right? About June, there's this big list of things, giving and experiences and relationships that was developed, and yet for some reason in June I'm like, oh, what's happening? And so it was, again, just a great reminder of blessings. So thanks.
It's halftime. This is the time that you get to plan for the second half of the year. This
Yes.
of course seems like nothing's happening. You're not on the court. You guys are in halftime re-strategizing. All right, so
Halftime.
that's great. Yeah, in June. Interesting. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for sharing. A lot of times this is what happens. Like we think we need to have more of what we've already had. Right? It's like I got to keep my calendar full. I got to be busy in order to look like I'm getting more things done. Right? But what if having less on your calendar is actually getting more things done? How do you measure it? right? That's going to be a question for yourself. How do you measure, like, if you're accomplishing something? You know, if you're doing more or less. So I would love to actually share a poem also. I didn't even know I was a poet until we had an exercise. We redid our kind of vow to our partners. So I wrote a poem, which is pretty awesome. You know, in nature, I feel like you can get inspired so easily. In back in Vegas, I'm like, a poem? I don't got time to write a poem, let alone think about it for a while. So did this like super fast. It was just coming to me. So ready? Okay. From my mind, I crown you my queen. In the realm of love, you reign supreme. From my heart, I love you true, unconditionally in all you do. From my hands, actions speak, gentle and strong and never weak. To hold you close when tears may fall, to lift you high, standing you tall. To lift, oh yeah, okay, yeah. In every moment, I promise to see the essence of you, the depth of we. Making love to your body, mind, and soul. Together, we are beautifully whole. Being the world's best lover, simple and sweet, requires one vote where our love meet. A code from my brother, a friend. With your love, our journey never end. Trust and safety I vow to earn. In every choice to you I'll turn. You are my first, my true guide through life's challenges by your side. In this promise, eternally bound, our love a treasure we just recently found. On the wall, these vows will stay, a testament of love day by day. I know, right? I know. It was crazy. Yeah.
I love it.
So, anyways, I also shared a song after that too, and it was beautiful. Just really exciting adventures. I look forward to doing more retreats and inviting more of you and spending more times like this with all of you guys here. You know, we get to, I know Michelle, we've spent some amazing times together, Jessica as well, and Eric and Nady, Tasnova. So, you know, it like our relationships can grow so much deeper, right? As we come together as tribes, right? And we really see into each other's hearts and into each other's souls, and we practice and we extend what we create here out to the rest of the world, to our families, to our parents, to our kids, to our coworkers, you know, to strangers, right? So on one end, we're going to practice with ourselves the expansion and the abundance of the energetic frequencies of money and love, right? Let's put those together. And which one is it? Is it that I give as a, you know, the more I give, the more I sacrifice? Or is it the more I give, the more I have? Okay, I want you to put money and love together in one place and make them the same. You have to make a choice. Is it that as I give, I'm sacrificing and I lose? And do it with love and with money together, right? And the other practice is, can I look to my brothers and my sisters and see them as a perfect, beautiful extension of God? That the Holy Spirit that flows through me also flows through them. That what I see with my eyes deceive me. What I hear with my ears deceive me. Let me open my spiritual ears. Let me open my spiritual sight, my spiritual eyes. That means I'll look beyond the words. I'll hear beyond the words. I'll look beyond the actions, beyond the body. What's inside? What's inside each of you? What's inside each of us? Let me look to that. Where I see innocence, Okay, I'll keep looking until I see innocence. Until I see the beautiful soul, the little baby that is inside each person and each and everyone. All right, so that will be our practice. Those two things. We'll reconvene again on Sunday. Yeah, really excited to be back and get this call back on track. I know we were off for like 3 calls, which is like an eternity. So hopefully getting back on track, we'll have more people join us, share more stories, and we'll remember and we'll love, we'll extend all together. All right. Much blessings to you all. Thank you for being here and sharing this morning with me.
Thank you.
Yeah. See you guys soon. Later. Mm-hmm.